talking about one of my favorite topics today, sleep. Oh my God, I'm obsessed with it. One of my girlfriends said to me recently, nothing gets in the way of Katie and her sleep. I wanted to go into the science of sleeping and like why it's so good for us. I mean, believe me, you probably don't even need that episode to be that long about it because you know how good it is for you. But I want to talk about how when we're asleep, results that we can see, tips for better sleeping. So I'm going to share with you my routine for sleeping. I'm also going to share when I don't do it well versus when I do and the difference. And then really just hone in on the fact that resting is productive. It is not lazy. So I used to work for a CEO as an assistant, and he would say to me, Katie, I have 24 hours in a day. I only sleep two of them, schedule the rest. Would really love to see where is he now. I would love to see, right, like anything from his blood work to even brain scans, right, to be able to understand how much damage we do to ourselves when we don't sleep well. And, when I was in my 20s, I feel like my friends and I had this attitude like, we'll sleep when we're dead. And we were like out all the time, up late, you know, getting home at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, and then waking up at 10 or 11 and just feeling like shit. And it makes sense now that I really have understood sleep and the priorities of it all and like how it really does help. Um, I realized I was screwing myself up. And, for those of you who do overnights and you work at night, I know this can be tough, but there is a ton of research out there about how you can do similar practices that I am sharing with you today, but do it around your own sleep cycle, meaning even though you're going to be awake when we're all sleeping, there are things that you can do. I'm not going to focus on that for the episode, but again, there are things that you can do that I'm going to describe that you can easily take with you no matter what shift you work, okay? So you and I both know that when we sleep well, the problem solving is so much easier, our decision making is so much easier. We literally have less brain fog, right? We're able to, in my opinion, stress less. Because did you know too that sleep plays a vital role in regulating hormones, right? Like cortisol and the growth hormone too. So like that's for tissue repair. So like when your little ones are growing, um, having essential sleep is huge, right? And then on top of it, for us, our tissues are constantly repairing as we age, right? And being able to contribute to our overall health is sleep, 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 sleep. So I just really want to also stress too that with cold and flu, cold and flu season, wanting to be mindful about creating a healthy immune system. And how do you do that? You know the answer, sleep. So I think we've really hit home, right? Improved mood, reduce your stress, reduce your anxiety, reduce the risk of chronic disease, being able to perform better at work and at school, like everything that you absolutely want to do in life to be healthier and happier, to be more athletic. I mean, everything comes back to sleep. Okay. So, that being said, I don't even think that I need to talk in any more detail about how incredible it is as an entrepreneur and as somebody who owns a business or you're thinking about owning a business, how much sleep is going to help you. I did not sleep a lot when I first started my business, and I swear to you that that really contributed to the gut health issues that I had early on in my business. And looking back, I just remember being so passionate and so enthusiastic, and it's all I could think about was creating this business that sleeping didn't feel like a priority. And looking back, I would have done it differently. So let's talk about good sleep routines and not so good sleep routines. I'm going to share with you what I have personally done, and you can take with it what you will. All right. So when I'm like on fire, when I am just killing it with my sleep routine, I like to be asleep by 9:30. My doctors, two of them, have both shared that if you can get into bed before 10 o'clock every hour, not get into bed, excuse me, fall asleep before 10 o'clock, that every hour you sleep before 10 o'clock actually earns you 2 hours worth of restful sleep. So that means you're getting double your money if you go to bed early and let's say you're clocking 8 hours of sleep, but 2 of those hours were before 10 o'clock, it's actually as if you're getting 12 hours of restful sleep. I know it's crazy. Again, this came from two doctors. So ideally, in bed by 9, asleep by 9:30. But let's back it up. What do I do before that? Okay, I'm generally trying to eat between 5 and 6 p.m. The lights are dim when I am eating. Maybe I'm watching a show, but my blue light blockers are on. I'm gonna link all of this. So if you want my sleep routine, you and like the blue light blockers that I recommend and things like that, absolutely happy to do this. So the blue light blockers are on while I'm eating. The lights are dimmed. Now, for some of you, you don't have dimmers in your house. I literally turn off the lights, and if I have like little underlights, what do you call those? Like underneath the cabinets, I'll just turn those on. But again, I've got my blue light blockers on because my eyes are wanting to adjust to the 24-hour cycle that our body goes through. How do we signal to our body it's time to sleep? When it gets dark. How does our body signal it's time to wake? When there's light. Now, again, for those of you who are night workers, you can still do this. It's still possible, okay? So what I do is after I've eaten, I will go take a walk outside. I take the blue light blockers off. I go for a walk outside. Why? My eyes need to adjust to the dark to signal to my body that it is time to sleep. I come in. When I'm doing this well, I'm either doing breath work, which I'm going to link my breath work that I give to all my clients, somatic release, which just means that like I'm moving my body in a certain way that actually tells it that it's time for bed and makes it really, really comfortable to get ready for sleep. And then I'll read. If I'm not wiped, I sometimes don't even make it to being able to read because doing those things wipes me out. Now you might be like, all right, I can't eat at 5 or 6. All right, well, eat as early as you can. That gives you the ability to, I think Kayla, who's on the podcast quite a few times, I think she mentioned 3 hours in between, finishing a meal and going to bed. So again, eating 5 o'clock with the blue light blockers on, I'm dimming the lights while I'm making dinner and while I'm eating dinner. I then am walking outside without the blue light blockers on and without anything on my eyes so my eyes can adjust. I'm doing breath work. I'm doing a somatic release practice. And if I'm really not asleep yet, I'm reading. Okay? That's when I'm doing it well. When I'm doing it poorly, I would say my eating, my blue light blockers, and my dim lights, I'm still doing that. That's still a routine. Sometimes I'll get to walk outside. Sometimes I won't, be living in New England. What I find though is sometimes watching a show, you got a good show. I'm watching Bad Sisters on Apple right now. Like I'm hooked. Shrinking on Apple, again, hooked. So what I'm finding is like I might do one episode and then I'll do a second. When I'm into the second episode, that's usually a danger zone for me. That's usually like, oh shit, you're not going to sleep that great because now we're getting into like last night, for example, I don't think I finished the show until like 8:47. Well, that's exactly 8:47, huh? I didn't do breath work. I didn't do a somatic release. And then I did my checklist for what I wanted to get done today. And I ended up like rearranging my notebook. It ended up being like an hour-long project. My doctor says, careful with that. When you do that, you shoot yourself with cortisol, not because you're feeling stressed, but because your body is trying to keep you awake and your adrenals can get super fatigued. So ideally what I would have done is getting into bed, read, do the checklist first thing in the morning. And I also just want to remind you too, as we kind of end this episode, is that resting is not lazy. Resting is productive. So the other day I was about to go to a networking event down in Boston. I was exhausted. I was like, why am I so tired? Oh my God, I like can't even believe how tired I am. Turns out I'm getting my period. Okay, like I think it's so funny how I like, and everyone, all my girlfriends say this. It's like we forget. We know it's coming, but we forget. And so I laid down, took a nap, felt so much better, was able to do at least another like 2 hours of things that I wanted to get done. And then again, I started my routine at 5 o'clock, making dinner, eating the whole nine. Last thing I'll say about this too, if you're somebody who sleeps in, Okay, something I've been practicing with a client who sleeps in, and she shames herself quite a bit for sleeping in, is she says she has a hard time getting out of bed. Now, that can be a couple things, right? That can be hormones, that can be sleep routine, that can be depression, right? But as opposed to just assuming it's depression, one of the things that I have encouraged her to do is this routine that I'm giving you. And then the other thing is in the morning, one thing that she's been doing with me as her coach is she's been journaling about what are the thoughts she's thinking when she's getting out of bed. What's causing her to either want to stay in and stay quote unquote safe there or to get up. So that's something that you can certainly journal and try if you have a hard time getting out of bed. I've also seen Mel Robbins do this thing. If you don't know who Mel Robbins is, she's a podcaster and author, where she will like roll to the edge of her bed. She will put like one foot down and then she will like slither. I'm not kidding you, slither down the side of her bed. It's like she's like, I'm not standing up. I like literally need to just like turn on my side, lower myself to the ground, get on all fours. From there, I get like, and she says it's really helped her as well. I think it's so silly. I've never had to do it, but for some people, you may have to. But in terms of what to do in the morning, it's turning on all the lights really bright. It is if it is light outside, it's getting outside and getting light in your eyes. You can even go right before sun rises. And again, you can do this even if you work at night. So something that I do when I'm like, right, the first thing I did this morning, I was up at like 5:45 and I was just like, all right, all the lights go on, gonna start my podcast. Like I feel really good. So that is something that I would consistently do as much as you possibly can every day. Listen, we expect men in our lives to be consistent. Well, we have got to be consistent as well. I hear so many clients say that when they're specifically dating men. I want them to be consistent. Well, something that we can do is start consistently showing up for ourselves when it comes to sleep and our morning routine to help us feel more productive, to help us more successful, to also help us feel happier and a little bit more patient. Maybe even with the men in our lives who aren't consistent or who we want to be consistent. That is not a nudge at men, by the way. That was just something that when I think of the word consistent, I think of my dating coaching days where all of my clients would be like, I just want him to be consistent. And I think the age old rule applies. Like we have to put the oxygen mask on ourselves before we can expect it or help someone else. Same thing here. So even if you have to set a timer, I think it could be super helpful. So I'd love to have you share this episode with somebody who needs to sleep better and is always complaining how tired they are. This could be a great episode that you send to them and say, hey, I was thinking of you, wanted to send you a little love. And let me know by following me on Instagram, kg.katiegrimes. Send me a DM. Let me know if you try this sleep routine, if you try the products that I'm going to share with you. I don't have affiliates with any of them, but I don't care about that. I'd rather just see you like, again, sleep better and feel better. I would love to hear how this stuff actually helps you. All right, in health and happiness, I'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.